The Tonkinese cat is just bit gem of an animal that was created when breeders throughout the U.S. crossed the Burmese cat with the standard Siamese cat. They've been on the lookout for cat with the outgoing and full-of-life character of the Siamese, toned down and refined by the implausible, mellow Burmese. The experiment to combine two distinctive breeds ultimately paid off, because of the Tonkinese turned out to be superior housecat, attuned to the family, affectionate and adaptable, and nice with canine, completely different cats and children. When first developed inside the 1930s, the cats had been often known as Golden Siamese. It wasn't until the 1960s that the establish was modified to Tonkinese after the island inside the musical South Pacific. Over time the title was misspelled with the concept that the cats have been named after the Tonkin space of Indochina, and Tonkinese was the title used to register the breed in 1974. Tonkinese cats are gaining in fame as people discover this is not solely Siamese copy, nonetheless extremely distinctive breed with extremely specific perspective and standpoint. Unprecedented pet. For individuals who contemplate cats as being aloof and neutral, it's solely because you haven't however met Tonkinese. Tonkinese cat character. The Tonkinese has winsome persona, not surprising as result of the Burmese and Siamese are prized for his or her temperaments. Devoted followers say the Tonkinese has the best of every breeds. His voice is milder in tone than the Siamese. Nonetheless, he does think about in feline free speech and must share all of the day's adventures with you when you come home inside the night time. The Tonkinese craves, and returns, affection and companionship. Not like the rest of your busy family. He'll on regular basis be part of you for dinner. He has an unflagging enthusiasm for all instances and life's pleasures, and loves interactive toys harking back to human fingers and the tales of his cat companions. He makes every shut encounter recreation. Whereas Tonkinese cats willingly adapt to individuals and animals alike, they might annoy further sedate breeds and subsequently may do larger with members of their very personal breed or completely different energetic breeds. Tonkinese are considerably widespread amongst cat lovers who keep in mind the typical Siamese and need cat with much less extreme physique mannequin than at current exists throughout the current Siamese. The prepared document can because of this reality be prolonged, since numbers are at current low. Essential stats: lifespan 10 to 16 years. Tonkinese kittens. Although athletic and highly effective for his or her measurement, Tonkinese kittens are very docile and residential. Trained stage is extreme and there could also be good curiosity. Nevertheless, these kittens, even when tiny, are neat and well behaved, and delicate to what the folks spherical them want from them. They're shiny and usually terribly easy to educate, rarely if ever having an accident. Kitten proofing is on regular basis actually useful for anyone considering adopting or shopping for any kitten. Extreme furnishings must be off limits, and warning should be taken when holding children, notably when carrying them all through onerous picket or tile flooring. You will wish to eradicate any low-lying entrances to areas beneath counters, and basement and closet doorways must be saved closed as they might tend to get misplaced. A quiet place for nap. Tonkinese kitten look very like miniature grown-up, although they could possibly be bit clumsy, and their fur lacks the silkiness of the grown-up coat. They generally tend to develop at imply value and attain mature peak at about months, filling out and attaining full dimension and weight at about 1/12 months outdated. Because of this breed is gaining in fame, breeders of pedigree Tonkinese kittens can be found fairly merely, and the worth is often cheap for pure, bred kitten. Historic previous. The Tonkinese is the love little one of many Siamese and Burmese breeds. The two breeds from Southeast Asia have been crossed in an attempt to create cat with common physique type, Lot much less piercing voice than the Siamese, nevertheless with loving nature and intelligence shared by every the Siamese and Burmese. Nonetheless, the story of their affair began with case of mistaken identification. Wong Mao, small, dark, brown cat, belonged to Dr. Joseph Thompson. Sailor, understanding of Dr. Thompson's curiosity in felines, had launched him the cat, acquired in far away port. Wong Mao was at first thought about Siamese with chocolate-colored coat. Such Siamese weren't unprecedented. Chocolate Siamese have been described inside the 1880s. Their our bodies have been tan or brown, and they also had seal, brown or nearly black elements. The seal, point Siamese, additionally known as Royal Siamese, had lighter our bodies that contrasted with their darkish components and have been most well liked by breeders and most people. The chocolate-colored cats in the end disappeared in Britain, nevertheless they nonetheless existed in Thailand and Burma, now known as Myanmar, the place they'd been almost certainly the offspring of pure versus human, directed matings between free, roaming Siamese and Burmese cats. Wong Mao was thought of one in all them. It was her future to turn into the matriarch of two new breeds, the Burmese and, later, the Tonkinese. The first deliberate crosses between Siamese and Burmese began inside the 1950s with Milan Greer, who often called the cats Golden Siamese. He didn't proceed his breeding program. Nevertheless, completely different breeders grew to be contemplating producing dark, brown cat with elements and crossed Siamese with Burmese to take motion. The Canadian cat affiliation began registering that Tonkinese in 1967, and totally different cat associations in the end adopted swimsuit, although some, such as result of the Cat Fanciers affiliation, did not grant recognition until almost 20 years later, in 1984. The title beneath its distinctive spelling of Tonkinese was talked about to reference the musical South Pacific, which featured an island the place no person discriminated in opposition to half-breeds. There was normally confusion in regards to the spelling, nonetheless, so in 1971. The title was formally modified to Tonkinese, after the exotic-sounding Bay of Tonkin in Vietnam, regardless that the cats had no affiliation with that nation. Tonkinese cat breed standard head kind. The highest is longer than it is big. It is modified wedge, which varieties an equilateral triangle when seen from the doorway. Forehead and nostril are barely convex, giving singular look to the face. Muzzle is medium dimension, neatly formed, full and with company chin and simple cheeks. The ears are medium to huge in dimension, taller than in depth with medium width to the underside and rounded ideas. The eyes are almond-fashioned, huge and good, barely angled. Eye shade is also any relevant to coat coloration. Physique and tail small, robust and well-rounded. Should look neither stocky, nor delicate. Some individuals is likely to be pretty lean and muscular. The legs are of medium dimension, barely longer inside the once more, with medium dimension, oval-shaped toes. The tail is slim and of medium measurement, with rounded tip and no taper. It shouldn't be whippy. Coat. The fur could also be very transient in measurement. Very light, close to the physique and actually shiny pattern. This cat is obtainable in robust, mink or pointed pattern, and in 4 shades: blue, champagne, platinum, and darkish brown known as mink. Tabby or tiger kind markings are extraordinarily undesirable. Whole look. This must be hard-bodied, lean and muscular cat with excellent heft for the dimensions. Smooth and distinctive normal. The coat is transient, mild and shiny with excellent sheen. Neat little bundle of cat with an enthralling and affectionate character. Measurement. The tonk feels surprisingly heavy when picked up and may weigh 6 to 12 kilos or additional. Tonkinese cat. Breed traits. The Burmese gene responsible for the sable color is member of the albino sequence of gene alleles and causes robust black to look darkish brown by decreasing the amount of pigment throughout the hair. The Siamese gene for point, restricted shade might be part of this allele's assortment. Because of the Siamese gene is barely partially recessive to the Burmese gene, the Tonkinese can be found 3 patterns: secure, identical to the Burmese; pointed, identical to the Siamese; and mink, mix of the two. Mink used to examine with the texture and seam of the Tonkinese is clean. Silky coat, nonetheless, now refers again to the mink pattern distinctive to the Tonkinese. With this pattern, the shading from degree shade to physique shade is delicate and by no means as sharply outlined as with the pointed pattern. The physique reveals pale to medium shade of the darker stage coloration. Tonkinese that present the pointed or steady pattern are known as variants in some associations. The CFA, for example, would not allow variants known as any totally different choice or AOVs to be confirmed for championship opponents. Nonetheless, variants are very important. In Tonkinese breeding packages, breeding 2 mink Tonkinese cats collectively produces offspring with median shade ratio of 1:1, 25 robust, 50 mink, and 25 pointed Tonkinese. Nonetheless, breeding pointed Tonkinese to steady Tonkinese will produce 1:0p. C mink Tonkinese. Properly being every pedigreed cats and mixed breed cats have varied incidences of nicely being points which can be genetic in nature. Tonkinese are often healthful, although they are typically vulnerable to gingivitis and may be delicate to anesthesia. Because of they descend from the Siamese, albeit comparatively far up on their family tree, they could moreover develop quite a lot of the equivalent sicknesses that affect the Siamese, along with the subsequent amyloidosis sickness that occurs when type of protein known as amyloid is deposited in physique organs, primarily the liver in members of the Siamese family, bronchial asthma, bronchial sickness, congenital coronary heart defects just like aortic stenosis, crossed eyes, gastrointestinal conditions comparable to megaesophagus, hyperesthesia syndrome, neurological downside which will set off cats to excessively groom themselves, leading to hair loss, and to behave frantically, significantly after they're touched or petted, lymphoma, nystagmus, neurological dysfunction that causes involuntary speedy eye movement, progressive retinal atrophy, for which genetic checkout is accessible care. The fragile, temporary coat of the Tonkinese is nicely cared for with weekly brushing to remove lifeless hair and distribute pores and skin oil. Bathe is not essential. Brush the enamel to forestall periodontal sickness. Day-to-day dental hygiene is most interesting. Nevertheless, weekly brushing is greatest than nothing. Wipe the corners of the eyes with clean, damp materials to remove any discharge. Use separate house of the fabric for each eye so that you simply don't run the possibility of spreading an infection. Look at the ears weekly. If they seem dirty, wipe them out with cotton ball or mushy damp material moistened with 50 mixture of cider vinegar and warmth water. Stay away from using cotton swabs, which can harm the within of the ear. Maintain the litter area spotlessly clear. Like all cats, Tonkinese are very express about toilet hygiene. Its suggestion to keep up Tonkinese as an indoor-only cat to protect him from illnesses unfold by totally different cats, assaults by canines or coyotes, and the alternative dangers that face cats who go exterior, much like being hit by car. Tonkinese who go outdoors moreover run the hazard of being stolen by anyone who want to have such stunning cat without paying for it. Coat shade and grooming. The Tonkinese is medium size cat with an affordable physique. Goldilocks would have favored him. He's not too trendy and he's not too chunky for Tonk. Followers: he's good. Tonk's head is barely rounded wedge kind, barely longer than it is huge. Medium size ears are broad on the bottom with oval concepts, and aqua, blue, inexperienced or yellow, green eyes counting on coat color are an open almond kind, slanting alongside the cheekbones in direction of the outer fringe of the ear. The muscular physique is supported by slim legs on oval paws. The tail is proportionate in measurement to the physique and tapers in direction of the highest. The fast coat of the Tonkinese is obtainable in medium thickness and feels mild and silky. It's out there in mink, secure, and pointed shades in pure, champagne, blue and platinum, for whole of 12 utterly totally different colorways. Mink Tonkinese have physique coloration that is rich, even and unmarked, shading nearly imperceptibly to barely lighter shade on the underparts, with particular distinction between physique shade and elements. As an illustration, champagne mink Tonkinese has buff, cream to beige physique, which might have reddish highlights, medium, brown elements, cinnamon, brown nostril leather, based, and cinnamon, pink to cinnamon, brown paw pads. Pure. Steady Tonk has sable, brown physique with dark, brown components and nostril leather, based and medium, to dark, brown paw pads. Platinum. Pointed Tonkinese has pearly white physique, frosty gray elements, lavender, pink or lavender, gray nostril leather, based, and lavender, pink paw pads. At gift, you may nearly definitely see solely C mink Tonkinese. Nonetheless, sturdy and pointed Tonks carry the genes that are important for worthwhile breeding program. Youngsters and completely different pets. The energetic and social Tonkinese is perfect choice for households with children and cat-friendly. Canines. He'll play fetch along with any retriever, learns suggestions merely and loves the attention he receives from children who cope with him politely and with respect. He lives peacefully with cats and canines who respect his authority. Always introduce pets slowly and in managed circumstances to ensure that they be taught to get alongside collectively. Tonkinese cats normally should not named for the Bay of Tonkin in Indochina. That they had been initially named Tonkinese with an a after the island inside the musical South Pacific, the place it was acknowledged that mixed breeds had been always welcome. The establish was misspelled with an I so often that over time it merely caught.